Speak to your motion.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a comprehensive NBI which addresses institutional racism which permeates our society. It is our collective responsibility to address the tone of our country and the atrocities targeted at our brothers and sisters. Our students, our communities must know that educators will use our collective voice to demand changes to policies and programs and practices that condone or ignore unequal treatment. Our students must know that we want them to be safe, and the National Education Association must lead our nation through this very difficult time.
We must remain diligent in our response to racial tragedy. The range of events from the death of Trayvon Martin to the murder of the mother Emanuel 9 has raised the consciousness of this nation, and now it is time to act. We are the greatest change agents in this country. The National Education Association, today is the day we stand up and say enough is enough. And today is the day we say it is time to end institutional racism.
When it comes to eradicating the issue of racism, educators can definitely play a big part. I feel like the most important thing is essentially acting as a role model. It's one thing to say that something is an issue and that it's wrong, but on a few personal experiences, I've seen an educator say that, but then act another way.
We need to get rid of the race codes on the standardized tests, because they use those and that information to say that the underperforming schools are underperforming because the kids are of color, and not because they're under-resourced, they're understaffed, their class sizes are too big. None of the things that we know have a real impact on a child's educational performance. Instead, they just look at the test scores from the school, say, oh, look, it's obvious, it's because they're intellectually inferior types.
As a biracial woman, or as a biracial child, my sister and I were pretty much the only biracial kids in my elementary school. And I had a teacher who didn't have a problem with black students or white students, but the biracial child in the classroom, which was me, she really picked on me often. It just hurt me to the core to have my teacher picking on me day after day after day because of the color of my skin, the choices that my family made. And I just never realized that people could hate someone because of my color. That was the first time a teacher was the first person to ever show me what racism really was like.
I used to think that colorblindness was okay. It's not, because it devalues the person, and it devalues what they bring to the table. It devalues their past and their culture and their experiences and their livelihood, their life. And I wouldn't want someone to treat me that way.
It's the thing about it being a black man has so much to be careful about. The way that he talks, the way that he walks, and the things that, I mean, his just mannerism is just totally different. And you have to prove to your co-workers or who you are. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. But that's what we have to do to prove ourselves, not only to our students, to our co-workers, our administrators, and it's a tough position, but I love it.
I remember being called the Mexican girl. You know, that's the girl that doesn't speak English, and going home crying. I feel that you need to teach students that every voice matters. And I think a lot of times people stay quiet. People don't want to speak up because they're afraid. But I think you have to point back to history. You know, things would not have changed if you wouldn't have had those brave individuals that stood up. And you have to use that intelligence that you have to speak up for what is right so that people listen to you. It's important, I think, as educators, sometimes we avoid these difficult conversations, but we hurt the kids more than we help them. And we have to be willing to have the conversations.